Greg Antonacci with Boardwalk Empire. I play John Torrio, one of the big bosses, founder of the syndicate and mentor to Al Capone. Today, we're going to take a tour of the great cities that were supplied by the bootleg that came to Atlantic City at the turn of the 20th century. Today, our city is Chicago. In the 1890s, Big Jim Colosimo was the head of the largest crew out here in Chicago, the Outfit. But by 1909, he'd gotten too big because he caught the attention of the Black Hand. He turned to his wife, Victoria Moresco, a former madam, who had a cousin in New York by the name of John Torrio. He's the second in command of the 5 Points gang. So Jim brought him out. He took one look at him and said, who's going to be afraid of this little guy? But what he didn't know was that he had friends like Frankie Yale and Al Capone. Within a month, 10 Black-handers were dead. And Big Jim was so impressed, he gave John the management of his premier brothel, 2222 Wabash, the Four Deuces. Unfortunately, this is what we can see today. But this spot was the beginning of John Torrio, the brain, the genius, and Al Capone taking over Chicago. We're standing outside the Green Mill. When John Torrio brought Al Capone out from New York, it was a harbinger of what was going to happen over the whole nation. What he didn't know is that Al Capone would become a household name, and this was one of his favorite places. Today, it's inside the exact same way it was back in the 20s. Let's go meet the owner. Hey, Dave.
Hey, welcome to the Green Mill.
Thank you. This is Dave Gemolo. He's the owner. Wow, this is just as it was, huh?
Yeah, 1907 we opened, and name was changed to the Green Mill in 1910. So it's a pretty old place.
And Capone started coming in like, what, 9, 10 years later?
He was hanging out here in the late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
And he used to hang out because Joe Louis, the singer, was singing here back then, and it was his favorite entertainer.
Huh. Now, he didn't own this place.
No, no.
One of his guys did.
No, Machine Gun Jack McGurn owned it.
What's his store?
This store went to the Green Mill Restaurant, which was next door, and then next to that was the Green Mill Ballroom. Upstairs from that was the Rumba Room. So this whole building at one time was the Green Mill.
Wow.
And before the Uptown Theater was open in the 20s, it was all outside, too, with the Green Mill Gardens, with the gazebos and dancing and things like that.
This was a big deal.
It was a big complex at one time, yeah.
Let me ask you something. This was the only way out?
No.
Okay.
No, well, there's the 2 doors for normal people.
Right.
And then there's the tunnels in the basement.
That's what I heard about. I heard you could go a block away.
Well, let's just say you're down there and you're in one of those party rooms, and you're having an anything goes party, and you yell out, "It's a raid!"
Right.
Well, then you could get out of there, walk through the tunnels, walk this way, walk that way. You could come out on Lawrence Avenue with your girl on your arm. The copper says, "Hey, weren't you in the Green Mill?" "No, I'm walking with my girl. Leave me alone."
Right.
Or you come out on Broadway, or you come out in the Aragon Ballroom and start dancing. So there are a lot of different ways out of here.
Now, they had entertainment here, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
Joey Louis. And Capone had his own booth, I heard.
Yeah, Capone's booth is back here. If you want to see it, just follow me this way.
I'd love
Yeah,
to see
come on, let's go look at it.
Wow. So I'm sitting where Capone sat, huh?
Yep, exactly.
Do I look tougher?
You look real tough. I'm afraid of you.
I'm tough to look at, I know that. I heard a good story about Joey Louis.
Joey Louis was playing here in 1927 for $650 a week.
All right.
He's offered $1,000 to go to the Rendezvous Club at Clark and Diversey. So he tells McGurn, "I quit, I'm going over there." McGurn says, "You can't quit, you got a lifetime contract."
And they meant lifetime.
Yeah, exactly, lifetime. And McGurn and the guys go get him, slice off part of his tongue, slice his vocal cords, leave him to die, and the guy don't die.
But no more singing.
No more singing. He become a comedian, came back to work for the guys that tried to kill him in 1930.
Here.
Right here at the Green Mill.
Wow. Listen, thank you. It's been great. We're crossing the Michigan Avenue Bridge. Behind us is Chicago's Loop, the prestigious downtown area. As the 20s progressed, Torrio and Capone made millions off bootlegging and took over the Loop. But they kept looking north. They weren't satisfied. As you can imagine, the North Side gangs weren't going to lay down without a fight. Torrio preferred the compromise, but he and Capone weren't afraid of a fight. We're on the North Side now, O'Banion's territory. This is what Torrio and Capone were after. The Speakeasy's over here. And we're at the Twin Anchors, which used to be a speakeasy. And we're with the owner, Paul Tusi. Hey, Paul, how are you?
Hey, Greg, I'm great. How are you today?
Doing real well. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what the Twin Anchors used to be?
Yeah, back during Prohibition, this was a speakeasy. It was called Tanty Lee Soft Drinks. The front here, these windows were all covered up, and the entrance was on the side, and that's where you got into the soda shop.
So everybody liked their soda back then. I heard there were a lot of shops.
There was, you look in the directories back then, and the soda shops went on for pages.
And the entrance was what, around the other side, right?
Yeah, on the side of the building.
Let's go take a look.
Sure.
Now this is a speakeasy.
This is it. This is where Mr. Lee Tante conducted his illegal alcohol business, right behind the soft drink shop that we just passed through. The bar itself is from 1918, so it's the exact same bar that would have been used in those days.
Wow. I heard there's an escape hatch, right? They all had escape hatches.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, let me show it to you. It's right over here in the corner. If the place got raided,
yeah,
they came in here, open this up, kick that open. That could get them into the hallway, and they could either go out to the street or escape upstairs into the apartments.
a guy my size could run right out of here.
You'd win the prize then. You'd be the quickest.
Listen, I want to really appreciate this. I want to thank you.
All right, thank you.
See you again.
All right.
We're still on the north side, O'Banion's territory, and we're outside the Green Door Tavern. We're with Jeff Lynch, who manages.
How are ya?
Good. How you doing? Tell us a little about it.
We are the oldest tavern in downtown Chicago. Actually the last freestanding wood structure in the city. Built after the fire, 1871.
Right.
We were built in 1872. Before the ordinance said you can't have freestanding wood structures. Back in the days of Prohibition, if you had a green door, that meant that that was the presence of a speakeasy inside. We actually have the original green door, if you want to take a look.
Absolutely.
Right there, literally the first thing you see when you walk in.
So that's the original green door.
Yeah,
Can we go inside?
absolutely. After you. Here we go. Here's our speakeasy.
Oh, yeah, this is Speakeasy. Wow, look at that bar. What's that?
That is the original cash register.
This is beautiful. Now, this is O'Banion's hangout.
Yeah, this was his neighborhood, 42nd, 43rd Ward of Chicago. There was a brewery up the road he was involved with.
Was that the brewery he set Torrio up with?
It was.
This is a great story. Tell this story.
Sold it to them on May 14th, knew the police were coming May 19th, set up Torrio, Capone. Torrio did some time.
He said, meet me here. So they were both there. But O'Banion had nothing, no arrests. So it was his first time. He wasn't going to get anything. He knew Torrio already had one. This was his second time, and he had to go to jail. When Torrio came out, after years of telling Capone, be calm, be a gentleman, don't curse, keep your temper down, he was irate. Only because I want him dead. I want that Irishman dead. It's a great story. So listen, I really appreciate you taking us here, showing us everything.
Come back for a party sometime.
I will.
Great. See ya. Thanks.
Take care. As the years passed, the flow of booze from the Boardwalk Empire of Atlantic City increased. And so did the blood, bodies, and bullets. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Right now, I'm going to hand you over to a couple of guys, Arnold Rothstein and Lucky Luciano. We're going to take you on a tour of another city where the bootleg flowed like a fountain in Central Park. See you next time as John Torrio on Boardwalk Empire.
Chicago's a fine town.
It ain't New York, that's for sure.
New York ain't New York now with Prohibition.
It will be if I have something to say about it.
Hi, I'm Michael Stuhlbarg. I play Arnold Rothstein in HBO's new series, Boardwalk Empire.
And I'm Vincent Piazza, and I play Lucky Luciano on Boardwalk Empire. Today, we're going to take you on a tour around New York City to give you an idea of several 1920s speakeasies that still exist. We're going to be heading uptown and back downtown to give you a sense of some of the work that we put in to prepare for the show. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's go. We're here at Bill's Gay 90s, named for Bill Hardy, who was a boxer and a jockey and a dance instructor and a Broadway dandy of the period. And he was married to a Ziegfeld Follies girl, and she would bring folks like Lillian Lorraine and Peggy Hopkins Joyce, and they would sort of steer their high-class friends and the rich, well-to-do folks into an establishment like this. The Gay 90s is sort of referring to is that at that time, the folks during the 1920s would look back on the 1890s, which was apparently sort of the heyday for them. This first floor was a wet bar, and upstairs there was a gambling den. If you can sort of see around us, there are these amazing photographs of boxers of the period and horses who ran at the time. It's one of the archetypal brownstone speakeasies of the period, similar to what Arnold Rothstein, the establishment that he ran as a young man in the 1920s. Let's check out upstairs.
Great. What's great about coming to a place like this is you see what these characters have achieved, where they were able to hobnob and rub elbows with some of the biggest guys and supply booze at places like this. They were circulating with the elite where they wanted to be versus where they came from, which we'll get to see on the Lower East Side. Should we head over there?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. Hey, we're back here on Delancey and Norfolk Street down on the Lower East Side of New York City.
Yes, and this, for me, is one of the most exciting parts of the tour because it really shows where these guys came from, where they wanted to get away from. His character, Arnold Rothstein, my character, Lucky Luciano, and of course, Meyer Lansky. I mean, right now it's kind of noisy here, but back then it was louder than a construction site. There was hammering, there were people, it was vibrant. There were roughly 7,000 people living per square block in Manhattan. So it was bodies on top of each other, people immigrating in, taking up rooms with other people, and then these guys came along and wanted to find something that was their own. They wanted to carve out their own piece of space, and we're about to go into one of the places that Meyer Lansky made famous, which is basically a back room that was behind Ratner's Deli. And this is the entrance. Not as opulent as most people would think and associate with the Roaring '20s, but they carved in a nice piece, and why don't we go inside and check it out. How's it going?
Hey, guys.
Vincent.
Vincent, nice to meet you. John.
Michael, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too. Thanks for coming to my speakeasy.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
So, guys, let me tell you a little bit about this speakeasy. This is called the Back Room, and this is the place where Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky and Lucky Luciano all used to come during the 20s. You want to take a look around?
Sure,
I'd love to, please.
Great. So, guys, let me take you back here.
What do we
my,
got?
My special room. All the speakeasies of the day had this type of room. Nice bookshelf. Go ahead, push it.
Should I?
I don't know.
I'm scared.
Creak, creak, creak.
I love it.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Isn't that great?
That.
All the speakeasies had this type of room.
I could have taken a bullet for that. Go ahead, open the door.
And here we are. Now, this here, one of the exits I was talking about, you go out here, go to the roof, you go outside onto Norfolk, or you can go out to the alley. So 3 exits out of this one exit.
Just right here.
Just right here. This small room here,
Okay.
4 different exits out of here. That's why the guys came in here. That's why they'd have their meetings. Anything happened, they were out, no problems.
It seems like a great place to get drunk, too, when there's 50 exits.
Well, yeah, that's true. Behind this curio, another exit. This exit, you can go up to the roof here. You can jump the roofs. There was a movie theater not too far from here. So this was one exit, and you could also go through the basements through this exit.
Okay.
There's the door back to Norfolk Street. So this small room here, 15 feet by 35 feet maybe. 1 exit, 2 exits, 3 exits, and the exit we came in. So 4 exits.
But that's why you got like Meyer Lansky lived to 81.
Well, thank you so much for your time and showing us around.
I appreciate you guys coming.
Everything. Absolutely.
Good luck with the show.
Thanks.
So you don't have to show us the exit. I think we'll
You
just pick one or that one. Right.
You go that way, I'll go this way.
Take care.
Okay. You beat me.
By a hair. That was interesting.
Yeah, that was fun.
We get to see a downtown speakeasy and then work our way north and see
The 21 Club.
the uptown speakeasy. Do you want to make our way over there?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it.
Gentlemen, welcome. Nice to see you.
Thanks for
Welcome to 21 Club.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
This is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is 21 today, but it looks a lot different than it did back in Prohibition days. 21 actually opened on New Year's Eve, 1929, having lost their lease to make way for what's now Rockefeller Center. The owners of 21 held this great black tie party with basically everyone who was anyone in attendance, and at midnight started to take the place apart. They removed the tables, the chairs, the wine kegs that were illegal, and on the way out, somebody at the last moment suggested, hey, let's take the gates too. So they picked up the iron gates that you just came through, moved them up here, installed them, and voila, you had the 21 Club.
And this was the crown jewel
This was the crown jewel of speakeasies at the time in New York. 21 was founded by two cousins, Jack Crenler and Charlie Burns, who really had no experience at all in the restaurant or hospitality business. Jack and Charlie were just tired of being poor, all right? But they were very entrepreneurial.
Sounds familiar, right?
And you know, they opened a place where they wanted the best for the best. And during Prohibition, when others were messing around with things like bathtub gin and the so-called New Jersey Bordeaux and the bootleg products, Jack and Charlie, through their uncle, were able to import items illegally, of course, through Canada. You know, the best French wines, the best champagnes, cognac, scotch, you name it, and they had it here at 21 Club.
Who, you know, in general, were the clientele, or maybe, you know, specific people that used to come and frequent this place?
The clientele was really the best of the best. It was New York society at its best.
And were there any gangsters that frequented this place?
Well, I think that at the time, most gangsters wanted in on any successful operation, and 21 being no different. And, you know, one gangster in particular, Legs Diamond, always wanted a piece of 21, was always after Jack and Charlie. Legs Diamond had a very attractive girlfriend at the time, and she took up with Ernest Hemingway. So after the restaurant had closed, Hemingway and Legs Diamond's girlfriend stayed, and not to discuss the menu, if you will, Legs Diamond found out about that and actually put a contract out on Ernest Hemingway. Now, he never got to really follow through on that contract because he himself lost his life being killed up in some sleazy motel in Albany. An interesting point at the time during Prohibition, if 21 were to be raided, the front door would press a button and the back shelves would go up flush against the wall, and all of the bottles would go cascading down to the New York City sewer system, so the 21 owners would never be caught with any product, because at the time it wasn't enough that you might smell alcohol, you had to prove that the alcohol was in view. So the wine cellar is one of the most ingenious, I think, aspects of the time with Jack and Charlie, you know, having been raided once and having had their stash confiscated by the government. So they needed to create a secret cellar where they could hide their product, not have it found if ever raided again. And if we go downstairs, we'll take a look and see how you get from 21 Club into a secret cellar that was actually off the premises. So let's go take a look at the cellar.
Wonderful.
Let me stop here for a second and just point out this area on the stairs. You remember upstairs I mentioned about Hemingway and Legs Diamond's girlfriend?
Yeah.
That episode? Right there on those stairs.
Dirty, dirty.
Okay, we're in the basement now, the cellar of 21 West 52nd Street, the building that you entered upstairs. In 1930, really the height of Prohibition, Jack and Charlie's 21 was raided by the federal government because reporter Walter Winchell had written an article saying that 21 was the only speakeasy in New York City that hadn't been raided to date, and that caused that. So they went out and hired an architect named Frank Buchanan, and he and some artisans came in. They designed a secret cellar, And where did they put it? Not in the cellar of 21 Club, but in the neighbor's cellar in 19 West 52nd Street.
Of course.
You see this wall behind me that, and if they just took this meat skewer, which is 18 inches in length, it's metal, and if they found the right hole in this wall, a series of about 1,000 holes, and they inserted this meat skewer at the right angle, and that click you here is the lock on a 4,000-pound door. And I'm going to ask you to give that a little push.
Oh, man. This thing is...
How much does this weigh?
This door is 4,000 pounds. It's part of the foundation wall.
It's a two-ton door.
2-ton door, and it's been here since 1930. We're now in the wine cellar, but we're in building 19 West 52nd Street. And this is where Jack and Charlie kept all of their illegal spirits during Prohibition.
And were the neighbors in on it?
And the neighbors were in on it, and the best kept secret because it was never divulged. Let's take a walk back to the dining room here in section 17.
There's names on these bottles.
Yeah, these are private stock bottles. These bottles belong to the people whose names you see on the bottom. You'll notice there's Richard Nixon and Gerald Ford, and there's quite a who's who, and you know, people from all eras, starting Prohibition going forward. But let's go into the dining room in the back here in section 17.
It's unbelievable.
Take a walk over here. I want to show you this. This gentleman is fondly referred to as Jimmy Walker's booth. It was part of the original wine cellar when it was first built. Jimmy Walker was the mayor of New York and would come to 21 and drink in private. There is a story that Jimmy Walker was actually here during one of the raids of 21. Jimmy Walker found out about that, became so enraged, got a telephone and called the New York City Police Department and had the federal authorities' cars ticketed and towed away. So,
was this room always this way, or has it changed?
No, this room has changed really dramatically over the years. It was redone in 1997, and we wanted to make it a very special room, and we would have liked to have had more ceiling height. Now, the bar room is right above us. We couldn't raise the ceiling, so what we did instead was we lowered the floor 13 inches with a lot of effort. It's really very special.
It was fantastic. Well, thank you so much
You're welcome.
for having us.
Great to have you.
This was
Really
great.
brings
Always a
this
pleasure.
time to life. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Gents, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a fort. I mean, you could... It's unbelievable.
Take a tank to break that thing down.
Serious.
Unbelievable. And
No.
the names on those bottles, Gerald Ford and Joan Crawford and...
It was great to spend the day kind of going through all the research that we had done and walk in the footsteps and go from the whole evolution of it, you know, from the street corners to a place like this. It's
pinnacle of the era.
Yes, my eyes hurt from being underground all day. It's crazy.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. We've had an amazing time. I hope you've enjoyed it too.
Thank you.
Vincent Piazza, Michael Stuhlbarg. Peace out.
Have a great day.